deep, it's high, it's full forward, it's short, it's Hawkins! And it's Geelong in front.
Hey guys, hopefully we're hearing something like that on Grand Final Day in late September this year. Let's wait and see. Welcome to the Hoops Crew channel on YouTube. Today I'm going to have a look at what winning the 2024 Premiership would mean to each team and maybe what losing it might mean as well. I'm going to give my predictions on how I think the finals are going to play out, and I'm going to take a look at some possible grand final rematches that are on offer this year. So some grand finals that we've seen in the past. Some of those teams could come back together on that last day in September. All right, so let's get stuck into it. But before I do that, if you're new to this channel, if you haven't been on before, please think about hitting that subscribe button. That will give us a hand. Don't forget to like and comment down below as well. I want to know what your thoughts are on how you think the finals are going to play out. What do you think of Geelong's chances? Yes, this is a Geelong channel. This video I will talk a lot more about other teams, though. I don't profess to be an expert on other clubs. So if you are a supporter of another team, go easy. I'm not going to give you a hard time at all. Maybe not too much anyway. But yeah, I'll touch on some other clubs. It won't be all about Geelong this particular episode, so don't worry about that. All right. So let's get into the first week of finals. Let's have a look at the matchups so far. We've got Sydney versus GWS at the SCG. This could be a close game. I expect that Sydney's going to win this, even though their history against GWS in finals isn't great. I think Sydney will still get the job done here and will be the first team, well, not the first team, but will book themselves a spot in the preliminary finals. Port Adelaide and Geelong is the first game in the finals on the Thursday night. Who's going to win this one? Yes, I said off the top it is a very biased Geelong show, but I genuinely think Geelong will win this game. I feel like it's going to go two ways for the Cats this year. Either we win this game, we go back to the MCG and play the rest of our games at the MCG and go on and win the Premiership, or it could be straight sets. I think it's one of the two. I think that's the way it's going to go. It's either going to be Geelong romps away to a fifth Premiership since 2007, or we could go out in straight sets. I feel like that's what we're looking at. So anyway, Cats to beat Port Adelaide in that qualifying final. Now the Bulldogs versus Hawthorn at the MCG. I think that's the Friday night game. I hate saying this, I really do, but I think I feel like the Hawks are going to win this one. I think this is probably, apart from Geelong, who I'm going to be most interested in, this is probably the game of the round for me. Two teams that are absolutely flying right now on the biggest stage of all in finals. Oh, I think the Hawks get it done. Sadly, the season comes to an abrupt end for the Bulldogs. It's tough, isn't it, those elimination finals? Yeah, sorry, Doggies fans. I don't want to pick Hawks, but I got to. The last one is Brisbane versus Carlton at the Gabba. Is anyone going to tip Carlton? I know they've got a few players back, and I saw a funny meme, a Lord of the Rings meme, where all the heroes turn up at the 11th hour. That's a possibility, but no, I think Brisbane. I think they had a bit of a stutter towards the end of the season, but let's not forget they won 9 games in a row, and they're still a force, and they've still got some. They still want to repair that sort of damage to their egos, to their souls on grand final day last year. So there's a point for them to prove. You've got to think Brisbane wins that one. These are just my picks, guys. Clearly, I don't have the crystal ball, and I'd love for you to disagree very strongly with me in the comments if you feel otherwise. I doubt you'd get 100 people all agreeing on the same thing. Semi-finals, okay. So as I said, Geelong got through, Sydney got through, so they have a week off. So that leaves GWS versus Brisbane at the Showgrounds. I think it'll be, or whatever that stadium's called these days. Yeah, who wins this one? I have no idea on this one. I have gone for GWS to win it. And unfortunately, Brisbane fall short and don't get anywhere near a grand final again the year later. But sadly, Brisbane, I think you're gone. GWS, your 13 fans are going to be delirious into a prelim. And so I'm sure you'll enjoy that. Port Adelaide versus Hawthorn, another home game for Port Adelaide at Adelaide Oval. They're all so tough this year. Aha! All right. Yes, Port Adelaide's going to win. Sorry, Hawks. Well, not sorry at all. I'm not sorry at all. But no, Port Adelaide wins this one. Onwards they march into a preliminary final. All right, so the preliminary finals, let me just move my notes down. We've got Sydney versus Port Adelaide at the SCG. You'd think that'll be a Friday night game, you'd think. Give Sydney the extra day. They got to travel back to Victoria the week later for grand final. You'd think that'll be the Friday night game. And then the Cats, maybe a twilight game for the Cats, because we love a twilight game, versus GWS at the MCG. All right, going back to Sydney versus Port Adelaide for a moment. Who's going to win that one? Well, the last time these teams played, Port Adelaide absolutely put the hurt on Sydney. I don't think they're going to do it again, though. I think they're going to flip the script, Sydney. I think they're going to. Actually, no. I'm going to change my mind. Oh, geez, I'm all over the shop. I'm changing my mind on this one. I'm going with Port, but only just. I feel like Sydney's got this in the bag until the last minute, and then Port maybe kick the last 2 or 3 goals of the game and hit the front and just hold on. Yeah, sorry, Sydney. All that, you've had one of the best seasons ever up until the last month or so. But nah, you're done. Port, I chop and change. I'm not changing that one. I'm staying with Port on that one. I'm staying with Port. Port is into the grand final. And then it's Geelong GWS at the MCG, as I said, probably Saturday, I think. GWS have got us a few times, haven't they? Am I a true Geelong supporter if I don't pick Geelong? But would you respect me if I only went with my heart? But who would the average person, who would a neutral pick at the MCG? Geelong finished higher on the ladder. Yeah, I think I'm going to pick Geelong. Now, yes, you might say, that's an absolute, you have an absolute bias towards your own club. You're a joke. That's fair enough. Maybe I am. But I'm going to pick the Cats, and it's going to be Geelong versus Port Adelaide in the grand final at the MCG. And why not double down on the bias? Go Cats, Premiership in 2024. Here we come. 150-point win over the Port Adelaide Power. Stick it up them. Stick it up them. I can't wait to stick it up them on Thursday in about a week from now. I'm recording this on a Wednesday. Port Adelaide fans, we are coming to get you so hard. You're going to be all up and about early. I know you are. I know your fans are going to be up and about early, but this football club knows how to win. Yeah, we beat you in finals, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, let's not forget about 119. You'll never forget about that. Don't worry. Actually, you might forget about it when it's 150. When we do you by 150 points in the grand final, then you'll forget about 119. I'm sure you will. Jeez, I've come out a bit hot there. Sorry, Paul. This could blow up. This could blow up big time. Possibly. I hope not. Whatever. Go hard or go home. Go hard or go home. All right. Before I talk about some possible grand final rivalries, a quick shout out to the new sponsor of the Hoops Crew Media Network, the new network sponsor, Cyril Cook Florists. Thank you for jumping on board ahead of the AFLW season and into 2025, the AFLW and the AFL men's season as well. We thank you for your support of the channel. All right, let's have a look at some grand final rivalries, starting from most recent to oldest. Okay, so clearly, and these are the teams that are these are the teams that are in the finals, top 8 now. They have a chance to have another rematch, do that grand final all over again, either to put further hurt on that team that they beat, or to have it turned around and the other team to get a bit of payback. So Geelong defeated Sydney in 2022. I'm assuming Sydney would love an opportunity to get one back on us, but I'd feel pretty good about playing the Sydney Swans at the MCG again. Bring it on, I say. Bring it on. I don't think that'll happen this year. But yeah, bring that on again. Another smashing of the Swannies. That'll be glorious. Their fans were up and about on that day too. Their fans were giving us crap. They're in their own little separate bay, protected from the civil people of the world. But no, they were over there. Now the other game, Bulldogs, is another one. 2016 we go back to now. The Bulldogs versus Sydney. Sydney lost another one there. What's going on, Sydney? You can't win grand finals. Why can't you win grand finals? What's wrong? Why can't you win them? You're no good. That's why. Bulldogs. Yeah, I think if the Bulldogs play Sydney in a grand final, I think the Bulldogs win another one. I think the Bulldogs are a better team than what they were back then, and I think they'll do Sydney again. Sydney fans, you're not getting a lot of love. Riley Macca, if you're watching this, I apologise. Check out his channel. All right, Hawthorn versus Sydney all the way back in 2014. I'm going to say Sydney gets this one, though. They've played a few grand finals together, but that is the most recent one, 2014. I'm going to say Sydney get a bit of payback on Hawthorn for that one. They were terrible that day. I think they were raging favourites going into that game, but Hawthorn just played one of the greatest grand finals you've ever seen, and Sydney just useless that day. So I think Sydney might. There you go, Sydney. There you go. I'm giving you something. I'm giving you some love. Now the big one for me, going back to 2008. Yes, I still get the shakes. I still wake up with sweats. 2008 Hawks defeated the Cats. I would love nothing more than to play the Hawks again in another grand final. To absolutely pull their pants down and spank them red raw. I would love it. I would absolutely love it. Please make that happen. I think we'll have to win that qualifying final in order for that possibility to happen. We'd sort of avoid Hawthorn in a semi-final, assuming they win against the Bulldogs. And then we'd, if everything else went right, we'd meet them in the grand final. It's going to be a tricky one, that one. But it's still a possibility. It's the only way to get over 2008 for me. It is the only way to cleanse those, to get rid of those demons that keep me awake at night still. All right, back to 2007. Speaking of demons, the Cats defeated Port Adelaide by 119 points. What's that? 119 points back in 2007. What? 119 points. That's correct, Port Adelaide fans watching this. We're going to do it again. Or maybe you'll be able to bury those demons. Maybe you'll get one back on us. You probably won't, but no, you won't. You definitely won't. But anyway, you can dream. We can all dream. It's the finals. Everyone's allowed to dream. But every now and then you just got to come back to reality and go, there's no chance we're beating Geelong. There's no chance. They're too good. Now, Port Adelaide did have a win over Brisbane in 2004. That was a great grand final. One of my favourite grand finals, actually. I don't know why, but I love that game for about 3/4 and see Port Adelaide do it. I do have a heart. I did enjoy watching you win that grand final. I did very much enjoy 2007, but I did enjoy you winning and beating Brisbane and stopping them from winning 4 grand finals in a row back in 2004. So congratulations. But I think if Brisbane got there again, I reckon they would flip this one. I reckon they would have you. I reckon there's a lot to, if they made another grand final, somehow they got back to the grand final, I don't think they'd let it slip. I reckon it's their turn, and you just have to maybe just wait another year or two until you get another chance. So Brisbane wins that one for me. Another one that it burns a bit for me, but it's been a while, I have to say. And any Carlton fans watching this, hello to you. And maybe, but yeah, the 1995, the bag of cash grand final, or the bags of cash under the table grand final, where Carlton just stole it off us, just paid their players well overs, salary cap cheats and all that. Hello, everyone out there. It's a Carlton fan. No, you were heaps better that day. Absolutely smashed us. But no, I need some payback for that one. I absolutely need some payback. In saying that, I think if we did meet in the grand final, I think you'd beat us again. It's probably the only one I'm going to concede. I think if you got there, which is very unlikely considering all the injuries and just the loss of form and all that, but I think if you got there, yeah, I think Carlton will win, beat Geelong again. I don't think I'd ever live, and then I won't live that one down. Not that this premiership is ours. We've got no right to this premiership, no more than anyone else. But losing twice to Carlton would be pretty tough. Staying with Carlton, back in 1987. Now we're going quite a way back. 1987, Carlton defeated Hawthorn. I think this one would get turned around. I think Hawks might get Carlton if they happen to play each other in the grand final. I don't think that's going to be a possibility, though, is it? Both teams playing an elimination final. They're on the other side of the draw from each other, so I guess it's possible. But, yeah, highly unlikely. Definitely highly unlikely. The only other one would be Brisbane and Sydney. Went by different names back in 1899. It was Fitzroy and South Melbourne. We'll still go with that one, though. So Brisbane defeated Sydney, or Fitzroy defeated South Melbourne by a point, I think it was. I think there might have been like 27 to 26 or something like that back in the day. Sydney, I reckon Sydney would beat Brisbane if they played them in the grand final this year. I think that would happen. I haven't worked out how you'd get to that point with the two teams, but yeah, I think if they somehow found their way to the grand final and played each other, I think Sydney would probably win that one. But I think that'd be a good game. I think that'd be a good game for neutrals to watch. All right, let's now, I guess the main thing I wanted to do on this show today was to talk about each team in the top 8 and what it would mean to them to win this premiership, what it would mean to the club, what it would mean to the fans, the long-suffering fans, or in Geelong's case, it's been a premiership drought of 1 year so far, so we're due, clearly. But for a lot of teams, it has been quite a while, and for some, they've never won it. But let's start with Sydney, finishing top of the ladder in the home and away season. Their first final, as we said, is against GWS at the SCG. In their history, and we're going to include South Melbourne as part of this, in their history, they've won 5 premierships, with their last being in 2012, 14 years ago. So it's probably starting to come around for Sydney to genuinely think they're entitled to another one. No one's entitled, but you know what I mean? Like, it's, if everyone's due a premiership in 18 or 19 years on average, it doesn't happen that way, but Sydney would feel like it's probably their turn. It would be absolute redemption for their massive defeat against the Cats in 2022. Probably even more so if they played us in the grand final this year. But regardless, it'd be terrific for them to get the premiership, the one they lost, plus also the one they lost to the Bulldogs in 2016 when they were favourites, and the Hawks in 2014 when they were red-hot favourites. They've lost 3 in a row. But, could you imagine Swannies losing a 4th premiership in 11 years? How devastating would that be for the club, for the fans? I guess if they win it, though, there's a bloke called Brodie Grundy who was playing VFL footy for Casey last year. Couldn't get a game at Melbourne. They brought him over. They promised him the world. Couldn't get a game. Now he's a premiership. Potentially. Let's just talk like this has happened for each of these teams. He's now a premiership ruckman for the Swannies, 3rd club, and I think we'd all be pretty happy for him. Or at least I would be anyway. It could be a bit of heartbreak for Tom Papley, though. He did stay loyal to the Swans. He wanted to move back down to Victoria a few years back, and as I said, stayed loyal. Could be a first premiership for a Nick Blakey, a father, just like his dad winning premierships at North Melbourne. The son, Nick Blakey, wins a premiership himself, joins his dad as premiership players. And Tom Harley, the CEO of the Swans, the legend grows, premiership captain, premiership CEO. What would it mean? So, yeah, could they win a 6th premiership this year? They're a very good chance. Probably the favourite. Probably. Not my favourite, but probably the favourite, I would guess. All right, Port Adelaide, second on the ladder. Their first final against the Cats, as we spoke about at Adelaide Oval. 1 premiership in the AFL or VFL era. Yes, we know they've won a lot of premierships in the SANFL, whatever. Their last premiership in the AFL was 2004, which is 20 years ago. So they are definitely due for another one very soon. Only played 2 grand finals, the 2004 and the 2007 grand final. A couple of prelims along the way. But yeah, they're probably due. They reckon they're probably due for another grand final appearance. It would be their first grand final since 2007, as I said. Ken Hinkley would prove all the doubters wrong, a bit like Mark Choco Williams back in 2004 when everyone was doubting him. Everyone was doubting Ken Hinkley and booing him off the ground, and he was getting all emotional about it and all that. So I'm assuming he'd love the premiership and to stick it up all those fans that didn't didn't rate him. Possibly some people inside the club that maybe wanted him out as well, maybe. How good would it be, though, for the – I don't know if it's a good thing. It'd be interesting for neutrals, but Port Adelaide won the wooden spoon in the SANFL this year, but they potentially could be premiers in the AFL. I don't know if that Swamp the statistician who's got all the stats, probably would be able to tell us, has anyone won a wooden spoon in the VFL or the second tier comp and then gone on and won the seniors. I guess it's happened before. I'm sure it happens, but you don't see that very often generally, do you? A few Geelong players for Port Adelaide, or former Geelong players, Radigalia, Quinton Narkle and Francis Evans, Frank the Tank Evans. Congratulations to them if they win it this year. If they get picked for the grand final side, the move would have paid off. Good for them. I don't know. I don't know if they'll all get picked. I think Radigalia is probably there. Don't know about Narkle. I'm not sure about Evans, but I think Radigalia is probably the one that is almost certain to play through finals. I think the big body, they need that. Don't know where he'll play, whether it's down back or up forward or somewhere else. But but I guess for them, it's a chance to get some payback on the Cats. As I said before, there's a chance they could play us in the grand final. They'll definitely play us in the finals, the first game on Thursday night next week. But it is a chance to get some payback. The last time they were in a grand final, they did lose. A bit of heartbreak. Dan Houston's not going to be there, suspended for 5 games. He's probably leaving Port Adelaide. I think he's indicated he's leaving Port Adelaide. So he won't be playing. I think Kane Farrell's done a high-grade hamstring as well, so he won't be there through the final series either. So there's a few players missing for Port Adelaide, but they've got a deep list, so they should be okay. All right, this is why you're here. Let's talk about Geelong and what it would mean. Gee, we get greedy at Geelong, don't we? We get really greedy at this football club, but it's like a little boy in Oliver Twist. Please, sir, can I have some more? And yes, we'll take more. We'll take more. We've won 10 premierships already. We've won 4 since 2007. We won a 5th. We won an 11th premiership. At the window at the Cattery there, they've got all the premiership cups just staring out to Canadian Park, and there's room for another one. There's room for another one there for sure. We're playing Port Adelaide. We've spoken about that at Adelaide Oval. For Geelong, it would be the second premiership in 3 years. It would feel like 2007 and 2009, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, a bit like that, where we won a premiership every other year. I prefer to win back-to-back, but, I'm okay if we just skip one every year. I'm fine. I'm not too greedy. See, I'm not too greedy. Chris Scott would become an immortal. 2 premierships as a player. How many premierships now as a coach? Would that be his 3rd? Yep. Absolutely. What can you say about Chris Scott after that? Yeah, there's people that like his personality, but that's where it'll end. No one will be commenting about him as a coach anymore. You inherited a premiership team. Like, shut up. No, Chris Scott will be an absolute legend coach of the AFL. The conversation is over. There's no doubt about it. If he wins the premiership this year, he's an all-time immortal of the AFL world. All the media experts didn't expect Geelong to play finals this year. So a big middle finger. I think Jared Waitley was one that had him. No, Damien, Damo. What's his last name? I've forgotten. But yeah, everyone said Geelong was going to miss the finals, except maybe 1 or 2. Lawson Humphries would be a premiership player in his first year after playing reserves in the Waffle last year. Can you imagine that? What a journey. What a ride that boy's been on. Incredible. This one gets me in the feels. Max Holmes. Yeah, twinched that hammy. But it was right to go. The medical experts declared him ready to go for the grand final in 2022, but coach said, no, can't risk it. So, yeah, if we could get Max Holmes back there again. Didn't get to have that opportunity last year because the Cats didn't make the finals, but, I imagine he's very, very keen to have his opportunity on the big stage. If we can get him there, that'll be great. Patrick Dangerfield would join Tom Harley, Cameron Ling, and Joel Selwood as premiership captains, modern-day premiership captains. It's like every time we pick a new captain, they become a premiership captain. Patrick Dangerfield do it as well? Time will tell, Cats fans. But the big sad one will be, can you imagine watching the Cats romp away in the 4th quarter, hit the lead? It's beyond doubt. They're just kicking goals for fun at this point, and the camera shows Tom Hawkins and Cam Guthrie just crying, drinking a beer maybe, but yeah, just tears of joy, but also could have been me. Could have been me. That'll be really sad. That'll get us in the fields if that happens. All right, let's move on to GWS. Oh, God, this is a boring one, isn't it? Does anyone want GWS to win a grand final? Does anyone care? Yeah, their 13 supporters do, but anyone else? So they finished fourth. They're playing Sydney at the SCG. Haven't won a premiership. Never won a premiership. I don't think they'll win it this year either. Even though, it'll be their, if they win it, it'll be their first. It'll be redemption after being destroyed by Richmond in the 2019 grand final. The membership department would probably become overwhelmed by dozens of new fans wanting to sign up for the 2025 season. Kevin Sheedy hands over the Premiership Cup. You'd think Kevin Sheedy would be chosen to do that, I would have thought. Maybe. You'd have to think Kevin Sheedy's probably the most well-known. Who else is there? GWS that would hand over the Premiership Cup on the day if they won it. I can't think of anyone else. Sorry, I'm taking the piss out of GWS a little bit here. Apologies for that. But yeah, you'd imagine it'd just be splashed all over page 7 of the Sydney Morning Herald if they won the grand final. Full coverage on page 7 of the newspaper. No one cares, GWS. No one cares. If you're not there, we'll all be happy. Just go away, please. We don't need to know about you. Again, this might come back to bite me if we play them in a prelim and they get us. Oh, I hope not. I don't believe in superstition and all that. It's not. I don't influence the world. Anyway, all right. Here we go. Brisbane finished 5th, playing Carlton at the Gabba. They've won 8 premierships if you include they've won 11 premierships, 8 of those with Fitzroy. Clearly, it'd be redemption for the 2023 loss last year to Collingwood. Umpiring decisions late and some costly mistakes throughout, 50-metre penalty and all that sort of stuff, and some heroic moments from Steele Sidebottom and DeGoey and Nick Davis, just ripped it away from them in the end there. But they had one hand on it, on that cup. They had one hand on that cup. Charlie Cameron finally gets one. Had a chance with the Adelaide Crows, didn't get there. Lost one last year with Brisbane. Brisbane's been contending for 5 or 6 years now. So close all the time, but he's stuck with them. God, you'd have to. I hope, if he gets there and he wins it, I hope he has a great game. I hope he wins the Norm Smith, kicks 5 goals. That'd be fantastic. They'd be the first team since 1975, North Melbourne, to win the premiership from starting 0-3. And back then, I think North Melbourne you even had a second chance if you lost in the finals. I don't know how that works. I don't know what was going on with the final system back in the 70s, but it was weird. But what would losing mean, though? Do you think that'll be the end for Chris Fagan? Do you think, okay, he's taken this team as far as he can? Maybe if they make a grand final, he stays. But what if they don't make a grand final and they go backwards on last year? Is Chris Fagan done? Does someone else have a look at it? Stay away from Chris Scott. We're quite happy to have him in Geelong. But, I don't know. I think they'd have to ask the question, though, at some point, if it's just not going to happen. They've got all the ingredients there for a premiership side, and adding another piece or two next year and in the younger Ashcroft brother. So we'll see. The Western Bulldogs in 6th position at the end of the home and away. They're playing Hawthorn at the MCG. The 2 premierships in their history. Clearly, they'd like to add a few more there. The last one being in 2016, 8 years ago. Their last grand final appearance was 2021. That was a tough one. They looked like they were running away with it in that third quarter. But we all know what happened. Melbourne absolutely steamrolled them. They kick 11 goals or 10 goals in the last quarter, something like that. Talk about a runaway freight train, Melbourne, in that last quarter of that 2021 grand final. Luke Beveridge, I don't like the guy, but he'd become a 2-time premiership coach. What can you say? Bontempelli would probably become the best Bulldog ever. Yes, even bigger than Teddy Whitten. I think 2-time premiership player. He's a chance to win a Brownlow as well. He probably will miss it again because he always seems to miss the Brownlow for whatever reason. Rory Lobb was basically out the door looking for a 4th club halfway through the year, and he's turned that around. But what does that mean for Bailey Smith? Bailey Smith, still a Bulldog? Does he decide to stay a Bulldog? Does he not come to Geelong? My team's just won a premiership. I'm going to enjoy that. Or is he, in his mind, is he already left? Is he not even talking to the club anymore? I mean, he does a few things every now and then wearing the Western Bulldogs polo shirt, but is he really sort of gone? I mean, does the club kind of moved on from him as well? But I don't know. It's a possibility. You win a premiership and he's like, maybe there's a chance for another premiership. But yeah, maybe he just wants out. Maybe he wants a fresh start. Who knows? All right, Hawthorn. Oh, we don't want Hawthorn to win the grand final. Nobody wants Hawthorn to win the grand final. Nobody, unless you're a Hawthorn fan. But everyone else, well, I can't speak for everyone else, but I don't want Hawthorn to win a grand final. They're playing the Bulldogs at the MCG in the first final. They've won 13 premierships. That's enough. That's enough. You don't need to win anymore. It's fine. Your last premiership was 9 years ago in 2015. I think over Freo. Absolutely gifted you that one. Freo. Beat someone half decent, why don't you? Finished in 17th place last year in 2023, which was last year, and started this season 0-5. So, yeah, they've done well from 0-5. Jeez, I'm really reluctant to give them any love, aren't I? Sam Mitchell would add add premiership coach to his resume as long as to go with his 4 premierships as a player. Ginnivan gets rewarded after leaving Collingwood post the premiership celebrations of 2023. And Jack Gunston gets a 4th premiership after returning from Brisbane in the off-season. And Hawthorn would have 2 more premierships than any other side in the AFL era from 1990 onwards. Nobody wants to see Hawthorn win a premiership this year. Nobody wants to see it. Western Bulldogs, do the right thing. Knock them out early. Yeah, please, just do it. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. The whole world is behind you, Western Bulldogs. Please knock them out. We don't want to know about them. Put them back where they belong. All right, last one is Carlton. Carlton finished 8th. Somehow finished 8th. Did everything in their power to avoid making the finals this year. They've got a trip up north to play Brisbane at the Gabba in the first final. Carlton, could they be the one to be standing at the top with 17 premierships at the end of September? Could it be this year? It's unlikely. It was looking very likely at one stage early in the year. They were off to a flyer in the first 4 or 5 rounds. Little stutter, but then found some form again. And then last third of the year, just absolute tumble down the ladder. And they could be gone as soon as next weekend. All done. Go again the following year. Maybe with Petrarca in tow, possibly. That might be the missing piece to get Melbourne over the line. But if they win it this year, as I said, 17th premiership, the most of any other club in the VFL AFL era. Their first premiership since the one they stole from Geelong in 1995. Not bitter at all. Michael Voss confirms his legend status after tackling a would-be car thief outside his cafe the other day. We won't go there. Patrick Cripps would add a premiership to his Brownlows, possibly as well. 2 Brownlows and a premiership. That sounds nice. Probably a few best and fairest in there as well, you'd have to imagine. As I said, I don't follow Carlton, but I'd be shocked if he hasn't won half a dozen best and fairest for the Carlton Football Club. Could be a bit of heartbreak for Sam Doherty, though. As I said, he did the knee earlier in the year. There's talk he could make it back. You'd think it's unlikely. And is Carlton going to make the grand final anyway? Probably not. So I don't think we'll see Sam Doherty. That'd be a shame after, maybe making it back, possibly if he gets back, getting over cancer and all that sort of stuff. That'd be pretty hard. All right, so now's your turn. Let me know what you think. Who do you support? Let me know. I mean, you're probably a Geelong supporter if you're watching this channel. This is the Hoops crew. So clearly most people watching this are probably Geelong supporters, but occasionally this might stumble into your YouTube feed and you have a look at it. And, maybe you've watched, how far are we in? About 35 minutes in. Maybe you've watched this long just to see what your team's all about. I will put some timestamps in the notes as well shortly. But, yeah, love to know what you think about your team's chance. Try and take a non-biased view. I could say like I have, but I did pick Geelong to win the premiership, didn't I? So maybe I haven't. I don't care. I don't care. I'm picking who I pick. That's how it is. That's how it is, people. But anyway, hope we hear this sound again in September. I hope we do. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, and good luck to your team in the 2024 AFL Final Series. I'll see you later. Go Cats.
It's deep, it's high, it's full forward, it's short, it's Hawkins! And it's Geelong